Every
should.
who
see
down
that
in
video.
Whoville liked Christmas.
You have to see that one over again.
But the Grinch who lived what?
What?
Did you say something?
You have to. I've talked over you doing it.
Yeah, but the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not.
Nice eye contact.
The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't
Just right.
just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
Quick
But
delivery.
thank you, whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy
I'm
frown
not weird.
at the
It's
warm
real.
lighted windows below in their town. For
We're listening.
I just realized the allegory.
he
No, he's hating the Who's.
Wait, you're just realizing this, Alex?
he
It's the
knew
Who's.
every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled
They're
with a
bank
sneer.
statements.
Tomorrow is Christmas.
Stop reaching.
It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
Wait, so what's his motivation? He just doesn't like looking at people who are happy?
He's the Grinch,
Very
he's
realistic.
grumpy.
That's a crappy...
For tomorrow he knew.
What's like the subtext? Like, did his father, like, never come home on Christmas?
It
Or
don't
says
know.
we don't know.
His heart was 2 sizes too small. You can
This
create
book
your...
sucks.
Well, if you
Where's the
watch
subplot?
the Jim
Where's
Carrey
Pinch 2?
movie, they give you a subplot. He was abandoned
He was
and
bullied.
teased and laughed at and bullied.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, they did that already.
Let's watch that movie.
After this,
It's like 2 hours long.
all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise.
What's the allegory, James? For the noise.
I was just saying Jeffrey Tambor molested people.
Oh yeah, he did that.
Oh, yeah.
Jim
He
Carrey.
was in the Grinch.
Jim Carrey probably did too.
Aren't they? They're still doing transparent,
All right, but
though,
that
right?
didn't have
Without
anything to
him.
do with Dr.
They're doing it
Seuss.
without him?
Can
Yeah,
we
they're
read
gonna
this
try.
book?
It's like
I'm
doing House of Cards
recording
up there.
this.
It's
Yeah,
Casey, it'd be crazy.
This is real life.
Then the Who's,
We have
young
to
and
edit those
old,
pieces
would
out.
sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
He's a vegan.
He's a vegan.
Plays
That's
Green.
why he's green.
And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, sing, sing.
Welcome,
And the more the Grinch
Christmas
thought
Day.
of this no, the background's good. Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with this now. I must stop this Christmas from coming.
But how?
Sounds like he's having a midlife crisis.
Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. You're awful.
Only I didn't say
I know
Grinch.
just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found.
Wait, don't they live in a snow globe?
Yes.
How do they know about Santa?
They live on the top of Mount Crumpet.
Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on top of his head.
she's drinking.
Bailey's
Mrs.
break.
Muller.
Mrs. Muller.
Miss Muller loves it.
Drinking.
Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Poor Max. This is always like so hard.
just
I
has
know, it was
to
horrible for
I
Max.
know. Then the Grinch said, "Get out!" Remember that in the movie? And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all screaming sweet dreams without care. Then he came to the first little house. Dreaming.
Screaming.
Not streaming.
Did I say dreaming? Sweet dreams without care. Then he came to the first little house on the square. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. And he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles.
James is nodding. Yep, that happened.
I know I see it in the corner of my eye. What's he nodding at?
Remember that?
It's a documentary.
And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimbley. Then he slunk to the ice box. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He
You're feeling
cleaned
like the
out
whole
that
vocabulary
ice
from
box
this.
as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, said the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. Rude.
Rude. Mean.
Yeah. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
Wasn't sweet.
It's
Terrifying.
I'm an adult.
Yeah. Alright, fair.
But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here.
That's smart.
And his fib
That was a good one.
fooled the child. Then he petted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed.
Oh, that's
And then
nice.
Cindy Lou,
He's a lot nicer than you think.
Tucked her in, yeah.
Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup. He went to the chimney and stuffed the tree
It's like a foreshadowing of his niceness, I think.
up. I think so too.
Where are the parents?
Passion. Where are
Cindy
her
Lou
parents?
Who brings it out.
They're at that key party from the movie.
Yeah, right. There was
There
a
was a
key
key.
party in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not Christmas.
Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar, on their walls. He left nothing but
He's bitter.
hooks and some wire. Then the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Can you guys go sit on the floor so I can lay down?
No. Maybe if you would act it out a night before Christmas.
You could be in your bed laying down right now.
Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was dawn, all the Who's still abed.
Wait,
all
wait,
the
wait, wait.
Who's still asleep.
Dawn is colloquial. Dawn is never. It's like you don't know like an exact
It's like
time.
5:19 in the morning, I'd say.
So he knows. So say like a quarter after dawn. He's like, it was dawn. Like you would never say that.
It was like 5:34.
Go ahead.
And he packed up
December,
his
that was
sled.
8 o'clock.
No, it's like always 5:19.
Mm,
Packed it up in there. It was 5:19 in like February. You know.
That's true.
Mhm.
This time of year it's like 7:12.
When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load. What, are you impatient?
Are you looking at the end?
To dump it. He's looking how much longer there is. Pooh pooh to the who's, was his Grinchishly humming. Do you have somewhere to be?
Yeah. Oh, you guys go to bed so me and him can hang out.
They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming.
This
They're
sounds
just
yuck.
waking up. I know just what they'll
Fourth
do.
grade teacher's gonna watch this.
She loves me. Their
My
mouths
lord.
will hang open a minute or two. Then the who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes.
Didn't rhyme.
Then he shook.
Oh.
What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who
You should show
down
this
in
picture to the camera.
Whoville. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be
British?
so? It's like half British.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
old. You ever see like the animated movie?
Oh yeah, very
It's like
British.
half British.
Right.
It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours.
That is really funny.
Funniest part.
Wait, what happened?
He's puzzling.
Oh, okay. I thought there was something else because that is.
He really was contemplating.
Oh, till his
This is
puzzler
very
was
puzzling.
sore. Yeah,
You
I'd
see like a
imagine.
trash bag full of yellow pieces of paper? Is this white? No, it's stupid.
No, he's just sitting there like.
For 3 hours.
He's like, Max is like,
And it was cold too.
Yeah.
Those heart's too small.
Yeah.
His brain's too small.
It's just
Alright, go ahead.
The Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe, don't patronize me. Maybe
Not you,
Christmas,
it's the Grinch.
perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself even caught
Aww.
the roast beast.
Aww. That's the end.
That was abrupt.
Yeah.